So welcome back to the page. 3 weeks out exactly today. 3 weeks from the first competition, which is going to be in the UK. The main competition is a week later in Italy. That's when we're going for the best look. So we've actually got 4 weeks still until the major competition. But again, smiling on the outside. Definitely putting myself through the paces now. Feeling it, but putting on a brave face. Firstly, just trying to keep a positive mindset. I think in prep, if you sit there feeling sorry for yourself, look, you're gonna have a miserable time, or tell yourself that it's all right, put a brave face on and you're gonna get through the day. But also I need to make sure my energy's there for my clients. That for me cannot drop. So here we are. But in today's video, gonna be running you through a high volume arm workout of what I use to build these guns. Also what I'm doing for cardio to continue losing body fat, and also my ab workout of what I'm using to develop my abs. But 3 weeks out, still no changes in terms of nutrition. So still coming in at about 2,350 calories. What we have done is escalated output up to 60 minutes of cardio going in daily, 15K steps, which is tough, it's taking its toll. But for me, I'd rather move more and eat more. I'm a massive food person, so I spend 99% of my day thinking about food. I used to be the little fat kid at school, and that's never left the system. I've just learned how to deal with it. So when I'm restricted of food, cravings are through the roof, starts to become very hard to stick to a diet plan. So I'd rather move more, have more food in, because if I was on anything less than 2-3, 4 weeks out, would I be able to keep sticking to the diet plan? I mean, I've got a strong mindset, but I don't know if it's that strong. So we're moving a lot, we're not eating too much. But this week, starting the video with actually a black coffee. So if you watched last week's video, you'd have seen me have that C4 like a little fatty in the back of the taxi, having a time of my life. But I paid the consequences for it, because after the workout, sat on the sofa and had the fattest crash. Couldn't move, I was honestly like a vegetable for about 12 hours. Sat there, 10 hours later, still in the same spot. Couldn't talk, couldn't move, couldn't function. So lesson learned, no more C4s, gonna go with a black coffee. Still does the trick, gives me a little buzz, not as strong as a buzz, but the crash on the back end of it is nowhere near as much. But as I said, 3 to 4 weeks out now, we're gonna go and get into the session, break down what I'm doing for arms, show you what I'm doing for cardio, show you what I'm doing for abs. You can replicate that, and that's gonna get you boys shredded as well. So I'll see you in the gym. So back in Banou's gym today for a high volume arm session, also abs, and then we've got 60 minutes of cardio going in there. Now the reason it's high volume is because I've dropped arms down to 1 day per week just to manage fatigue. So I was doing it twice a week, but at the minute, look, it's not really a big priority, and I was accumulating a lot of fatigue, so just drop down on volume. But we're gonna be doing 3 movements for biceps, 3 movements for triceps. Now, for triceps, there's 3 heads. When you do your programming, you wanna make sure that you're picking a movement to target all 3 heads. So you've got the long head, you've got the lateral head, you've also got the medial head. When training biceps, you wanna optimize movements that are gonna firstly optimize tension in the shorten range, but also optimize it in the lengthen range. So when your arm's coming out in front of your shoulder, that's gonna optimize tension in the shorten range. When your arm's coming behind your shoulder, that's gonna optimize tension in the lengthen range. So we're gonna mix it up. We've got movements to target the short and the lengthened, all 3 heads of the triceps. So we're gonna be doing 3 sets for each movement, working between a rep range of 8 to 12 reps. But anyway, let's get stuck into the session. So movement number 1, we've got a seated machine preacher curl. Now this movement's good for optimizing tension in the shorten range. So when your arm's coming out in front of your shoulder, tension's optimized in the shorten range. When your arm's coming behind your shoulder, tension's optimized in the lengthen range. So when you're putting your programming together, make sure you're optimizing both variations of the movement to target all heads of the bicep. Now, this movement here is probably my favorite bicep movement at the minute, because it just takes the execution element out of it. Where your elbows and your arms are supported against the pad, stops you from swinging back. So what you sort of see a lot of people doing is firstly not keeping their elbow in a locked and fixed position, so it will swing up in the movement, and that just takes tension off the working muscle and starts over engaging with momentum. And again, it stops you from swinging your shoulders back. So your body's completely stabilized. That just isolates the bicep, optimizes as much tension as you can. Key teaching focus here is, again, make every rep as hard as possible. So what you'll see me doing is really focusing on my tempo. Drive the concentric, get a 1 to 2 second squeeze in there to optimize tension, then get a 3 second eccentric in there. Make every single rep as hard as possible and drive it all the way through to failure. But movement number 1, we're going to be doing 3 sets between a rep range of 8 to 12 reps. So movement number 2 is going to target the medial head of the tricep. So we're going to go in with a cable rope extension. So again, when you're doing your programming, you want to make sure that you're targeting all 3 heads. You've got the lateral head, the medial head, you've also got the long head. So movement number 1, we're going to be targeting the medial head with cable rope extensions. So some common mistakes that I see people doing wrong when executing the movement. Firstly, is pushing the handles together when you drive the concentric. You want your hands to be spread apart like that. The next mistake is they don't keep their elbow locked and fixed. So after the concentric, they bring their elbows back up like that and then drive down with momentum. You want to keep your elbows in a locked and fixed position, and it should just be flexion around the elbow joint. Again, that just minimizes momentum and puts as much tension on the tricep as possible. And then the last teaching point is to make sure you're going for a full range of motion. So the goal is to get as much flexion around the elbow joint as you can. So again, what a lot of people will do is bring the rope to there and then get into the concentric. Bring it all the way up into your chest, get as much flexion around the elbow joint, and then drive it down, flick your wrists out at the bottom and get a 1 second squeeze. So movement number 2, we've got single arm cable curls. Again, 3 sets with between a rep range of 8 to 12 reps. Now, key teaching points for this is you want to have your arm coming behind your shoulder. So as I said, arm behind the shoulder is optimizing tension in the length and range. Arm in front of the shoulder is optimizing tension in the short and range. Now, key teaching points again is keep your elbow locked and fixed. What you don't want to do is swing your elbow up, because again, it just takes tension off the working muscle. So keep your elbow locked and fixed behind your body, and it should just be flexion around the elbow joint. So drive the concentric, no movement in the elbow, nice slow controlled eccentric, fully lengthen, so fully lock your elbow out, and then we're going to drive it again. As ever, make every rep as hard as possible. So 3 second eccentric, 1 second concentric with a 1 second squeeze. So movement number 2 for tricep, we've got a straight bar push down. Now this is going to target the lateral head, which is the top head. That's going to give you that horseshoe look, which in my opinion is the main aspect of the tricep that you want to look good. So again, key teaching points with this movement, it's going to be very similar to all tricep movements. It's keeping firstly your elbow locked and fixed. So you don't want to bring up and start swinging using momentum. So elbow, keep it nice and tight, locked and fixed. Again, you want to drive the concentric and get a 1 second squeeze to optimize tension. And then on the eccentric, get as much flexion around the joints. You want to bring the bar up in line with the top portion of your chest, and then we're going to drive it back down again. Big focus again on tempo. 3 second eccentric, stretch the tricep out, drive the concentric, getting a 1 second squeeze. So last movement for biceps, movement number 3, we've got dual arm dumbbell curls. Now, no major mythology behind it, it's just a fun movement for me. Gonna smash the fuck out my biceps and inflict as much muscle damage as I can. So again, 3 sets of 8 to 12. Key teaching points here is again, just try and keep your elbows locked and fixed as you can. What you see a lot of people doing is swinging forward with their elbows, but also coming back with their shoulder to use momentum. If you're having to do that, you're probably just shifting too much load. Now, the thing is with a bicep curl, you don't need to ego lift, you don't need too much load. Focus on accurate reps, precision, and again, make every rep as hard as possible. Get that tempo right, slow controlled eccentric, driving a concentric, getting a 1 second squeeze. But underway with the last movement. Forward. So last movement for triceps, we've got overhead cable rope extensions. This targets the last head of the tricep, which is the long head. Two ways you can do this. You can rather start with the cable coming from the top and then going over like that, or you can put the cable coming from the bottom and going up like that. I just prefer starting at the top. The adjustment's just a little bit easier. If you start at the bottom, you've got to flick it around your body like that. If it's coming over the top, it's very easy just to get into the movement. So with this, you want to just take a step away from the machine. Again, keeping your elbows locked and fixed. Drive the concentric, flick your wrists out at the top, get a 1 second squeeze. And again, on the eccentric, just get as much depth as you can, as much flexion around the elbow joint, and then drive the concentric again. So thankfully, that's arms done. Now on to abs. Now, this part of the session, tired, I'm hungry, and your brain's gonna tell you, look, just go home. And I think so many people neglect their abs, and when they strip the body fat off, they're surprised why their midsection isn't looking how they want it to. So make sure you're not neglecting abs. So I'm gonna show you what I'm doing. I do this 4 days a week now. Started off at 3, progressed it to 4. Realistically, any more than 4, you're probably just gonna go into a state of overtraining. Now, the first part is gonna be a circuit where we're just gonna go shitload of volume, body weight exercises. There's gonna be 3 different exercises. We're gonna be doing sit-ups, we're gonna be doing reverse crunches, and then we're gonna be doing leg raises. Movement number 1, sit-ups. You're gonna do that for 2 minutes straight, no breaks in between. You're then gonna get straight into reverse crunches for a minute. Again, no breaks. You're then gonna get straight into leg raises. So it's 4 minutes total, no breaks. Now, you're gonna see a lot of fancy ab workouts on the internet. There's only 2 movements that you need to understand. It's bringing your chest down into your knees, and it's bringing your knees up into your chest. That's gonna allow you to target all portions of your midsection. After we finish with the circuit, we're then gonna get into weighted crunches. We're then optimizing everything. We've got volume from body weight, we've got mechanical tension from the weighted movements, and then we're going to apply progressive overload on the weighted movements. You cannot miss with this ab workout.
Fill my wrist up with VVs, never said it was easy. Still got hitters down the road, but they can see me on TV. I'm in a whole nother league, don't think about going for Riri. Went hard for 2 summers straight, it's time to go for a 3-piece. You can have it all, just promise me you won't leave me. Why every time I fall, I gotta crawl on my knees. Shit crazy, who the fuck gon' be there if I need? She want a baby, she be I'm done.
You know what? Just fucking ignore me. Don't do this ab workout. It's not even worth it. You never experience pain like that. Oh, fuck.
I know you're tired.
Can't even tense them right now. Oh, fuck. It's the second part of the ab workout, which is the hardest part because by that time, your abs are absolutely fried. What we're now gonna do is 3 sets of weighted crunches, just pushed all the way through to failure. If in your gym, say you're at like a pure gym, you don't have a good weighted crunch, all you need to do is a cable variation. It's gonna do exactly the same thing. But underway with this now, 3 sets, pushed all the way through to failure.
I've been having dog dreams, praying for a way out, but I'm so deep. I've been dodging rats and dodging police. Know if I go back, they gon' try to hold me. If it start going on drills, bitch, I'm a shooting star. Remember, walking real far when I ain't have a car. Caught the rain from.
So, the last part of the session, and this hands down is the bit that I dread the most. So I'm about 15, 16 weeks into this prep. Final stint, I'm on 60 minutes of cardio daily. So it's just about learning the little tricks. So for me, I have the incline on 15. I put the speed between 4.5 and 4.7 kilometers per hour. This is quite slow at the minute. I'm about to turn it up once I finish talking. But what's important is getting your heart rate at an elevated level. So In my opinion, for me personally, the optimal level is between 130 to 135 beats per minute. Much quicker than that starts to become very fatiguing. Much slower than that, you're not going to be within the range of burning enough calories. So 60 minutes incline walk, incline 15, speed 4.5 to 4.7 kilometers an hour. Now it's up to 60 minutes. Being realistic, I cannot sit on here for 60 minutes. Anything above 45, I start breaking it up. So what I now do is 30 minutes after I train, and then go back in the late afternoon, in the evening time, and then do another 30 minutes, because I find two smaller battles a lot more manageable from a mindset standpoint. But just little tricks. So what I do is I'll turn the calories off on the setting. I won't see how long I've been on the treadmill for, turn the distance off. I won't give myself any indication of how long's left, because if I do, what I find myself doing is clock watching and just counting down the minutes until I get off. So I'll put like a house music mix on, think about being in Ibiza, having a good time, take your mind off the treadmill, take it to a happy place. And that just allows you to stop thinking about how long's left, and that walk will go a hell of a lot quicker. But that is the session wrapped up. Gonna slug the first 30 minutes off now, get it done, get home, get some post-workout down me, and then box off the next 30 minutes later on. But in terms of this session, what I always like to stress is the biomechanics behind the movement doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. I've given you a lot of key teaching points. The most important aspect is fucking train hard. Push to failure, put your body under the stress it needs to have to adapt and have to grow. You can have the best technique in the world, with no intensity, you're not gonna grow. You could have the worst technique in the world, with intensity, you're still gonna grow. So most importantly, train fucking hard, put your body through it. But that's a wrap again for today. 3 weeks out, and I'll catch you guys next week for 2 weeks out. And as ever, if you've enjoyed the video, any value, subscribe, hit the like button, and I'll see you again for the next video.